An Unwanted Guest by Shari Lapena is a thriller book by this Canadian author. I read The Couple Next Door, her debut. Didn't like it. It's a very basic, simple kidnapping thriller, very pedestrian, you can guess who the guilty party, halfway through the book. But The Couple Next Door is also her debut. So therefore, you have to judge it not too harshly, mainly because it's the first book, right? You always have to give an author their first book some slack, because it's their first book. It's obviously not something that they've refined yet. It's probably something that they could get sold. So The Couple Next Door is also really short. Didn't like that book, but this book was recommended by Alexa Dawn and her list of isolated thrillers. Isolated thrillers are murder mystery thrillers that happen in a place where you can't get to the police or civilization or help. So you sort of isolate people. So it could be on an island or in a cabin in the woods or something like that. So this book is about the Mitchell Inn. It is a old-fashioned hotel up in the middle of nowhere. They don't really say. But it's an old-fashioned place that doesn't have cameras, Wi-Fi, internet connection. It's a place it's expensive, and people go there to unwind and sort of deal with nature. So you can go on hikes or snowshoeing or skiing and things like that. They have an ice hotel. You can go in there and have a drink where everything's made of ice. It's a very bourgeois sort of place to go. This book does not start easy. The book starts by introducing like 10 characters at the very beginning, and it doesn't really let up, and you're sort of like just thrown like a child thrown right into the pool with water wings. And so immediately the book is a little bit hard to get into because there's just so many characters being introduced at a rapid fire pace. However, once you get acclimated to everyone, you sort of get everyone's backstory. The author does a choice of doing this in third person omniscient, and it's a little bit annoying because they start every paragraph with the person's name. So sometimes it doesn't. Like I just flipped to a random thing and it didn't. Sometimes, but a lot of the times when they switch perspectives, it always starts with a character name. So Henry looks at his wife, and then boom, we switch, and then it's like David knocks on the door. Boom, Matthew does this. Boom, Gwen does this. Boom, and it can get a little repetitive when you're reading it. The flow of the story is kind of like that. Also, sometimes the book will just info dump a person's backstory, because they can. And it can get a little annoying. I mean, it's not uninteresting all the time, but, you'll sit there and they'll be like, oh, by the way, this person has this background. And they go on for like 3-4 pages about this person's childhood for character development, obviously. But I felt that it could have been probably done in a better way. But overall, An Unwanted Guest was a quick read. It's only like 270 or some pages. It's not very long. I do like the circumstances which make everyone get there. The kills are pretty cool. However, the pacing's pretty awful for the third act. Near the end of the book, they introduce a police officer character, and it just sort of saps all the tension and suspense out of the story because, you spend about 75% of this book, in a super hotel. Everyone's like tension filled. Everyone's getting up, crazy at each other. Everyone's getting drunk. And then as soon as the police show up, the tension just goes away because, it's out of your hands, and then, the reveal and then the backstory and all that stuff. Overall, this book is a one and done. It's one of those, you just read it, you're done. You donate it to the library or to the thrift shop or whatever. I only paid $1 for it. So it was just something to read, because it was on that list, but also because I was reading another book that kind of was sucking and I wanted a distraction. So An Unwanted Guest is a pretty solid mystery thriller book. It is not too amazing, but it's good enough. And it's definitely a massive improvement over The Couple Next Door. So I give An Unwanted Guest a 3 out of 5.